What's up YouTube? It's James Q Quick from Learn, Build, Teach, and today I want to show you how to deploy your first static site with Gatsby to Netlify. Alright, so first I guess we should talk a little bit about what Netlify is. And if you've paid any attention to the web development community on Twitter, on blog posts, or on podcasts, you've probably heard of Netlify because it's gotten a lot of support in the last, last year maybe or something like that. And they actually just got a ton of funding, $30 million to continue to make their product better. But if you haven't heard of what Netlify is, it's basically a hosting service that has great support for static sites, things like Gatsby sites to deploy and host and manage. And actually it says here, build, deploy, and manage modern web projects. So it actually makes a lot of sense. Netlify has a great free tier. You can host sites for free. You can get HTTPS automatically and for free. You can use your custom domain name with your site for free, which is kind of insane. I don't know that I've ever seen that being able. Usually, if you have a free tier, you then have to pay to be able to use your own domain name, but you can do that here for free. So if we scroll down just a little bit to this deploy your site in seconds, you can see you can connect your repository to GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, just your source control options here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use GitHub. And then you come in and you create your build settings, and then you actually deploy your website and you're done. So there's lots of other things that you can look at for Netlify. There's some pretty sweet stuff with using AWS Lambda functions. You can create a Netlify super easy. I did that. Super cool stuff. And so they've really just got an amazing package of things you can do and hosting options and configuration and things like that. I am currently rebuilding the Learn, Build, Teach website, learnbuildteach.com, and I'm using Gatsby and I'm hosting on Netlify and I'm in love with it so far. So that's a lot of talking. Let's go ahead and dive in. And what I've got here is on GitHub, I created a Gatsby Netlify test project. So I'm going to copy this clone URL, and I will probably remove this. You guys don't need to have this specific project to be able to test this out. You can have any web project that you want. So don't think that you need to copy the code that I've got, because this is just going to be a standard new Gatsby app. So in Visual Studio Code, I can open my command palette and do a clone and say I want to clone from this URL. And I'll let that ask me where I want to do it. I'll put it in demos. And actually, I'm going to have a little bit something off on my folder structure here, which kind of sucks, but I'll figure it out. So I've opened this project up. And if I come into the terminal, I can see I've got a Git repository on master branch initial commit. So from here, I want to actually create the Gatsby site. So I can scroll back over to the docs here. And to do that, it's just a Gatsby new, and then whatever the name of the site is, and then you'll choose a starter default. Now you will have to have the Gatsby CLI installed. I've got it installed globally, so I've already done this. You guys will need to run this command if you haven't already. So after you've installed the Gatsby CLI, go ahead and copy this URL or this command, and so we're going to call this Gatsby new and then Gatsby site. And this is actually going to create this nested inside of my my Git repository. So actually I want to copy these files out to the root directory of the repository. So let me pause here for a second, and I'll come back in 2 seconds when this is done. All right, so that went ahead and finished, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of the stuff in that project in Gatsby site. I'm going to bring that to the root directory and get rid of that Gatsby site directory. So now, all I did was just put the files for the website in the root directory of my Git project. And if I do a Git status, I've got a shortcut set up, GST. You can see I've added all these files to the project that are untracked. So let's close these out. I'm not going to talk a lot about Gatsby. I'm not going to talk a lot about how to change things in Gatsby yet. This is kind of assuming you've got other resources for working with Gatsby, or you're already familiar with Gatsby and you're just looking to deploy. So that's kind of where we are. So just to prove that this is working, I can run Gatsby develop. This is going to start up the site in basically develop mode. So it's going to give us a live reloading server that we can open up here. So it's going to be localhost 8000, and we should see the default template load up here in a second. So that's the default starter application from Gatsby. And just for kind of awareness thing, comes with a couple of different components here. The layout is going to be kind of the container for the app. So it includes your helmet, which is going to be the header information for your site, the actual header that they have in a different component right here, header.js. Then it's got basically got some default CSS. It's got a lot of stuff in here. For my site, I basically just ripped all the CSS out and then kind of redid the layout here, but kept the general structure of how this is set up the same. So we've got a Gatsby site. Now we need to, check this into source control. So we can do this a couple of different ways. In VS Code, I've got access to some Git tools integrated in VS Code, so I can add all of these changes, and I can leave a commit message, scaffolded Gatsby app, and I can go ahead and commit this by doing the check mark here. And this will go ahead and commit. So now if I open a new terminal down below, I can see that I'm on the master branch, and that its upstream is fixed and it's nothing to commit, working clean. And then if I scroll back over to the repo and do a refresh, we should now see all those files are in the GitHub repository. But actually, I forgot one thing, and that is I did a local commit, but I didn't actually push to GitHub. So in VS Code, again, I've got tools for that, so I can do a push here, and that'll go out, and you can see it's loading one by this indicator down here, and then one by this indicator up here. Now, if I do a refresh on the GitHub repo, I should see that all the files are there. So this is what we want. Now we need to move into Netlify. And let's go ahead and pull this up. If you guys don't have an account, obviously you'll need to create an account. This will all be free, so you're not going to have to pay anything. But you'll create an account, you'll sign in, you'll be brought to your dashboard. And notice I've got two here. One was a hackathon project that I did. The other, I haven't added the custom domain yet, but this will be the learnbuildteach.com website that you guys can check out in probably the next couple of weeks. I've made a lot of progress with this, and I'm getting pretty close to being done. But all that said, what we want to do is click on New Site. From Git, we want to connect a new site. We'll choose GitHub. And you will have to do some authorization to say GitHub, Netlify can have access to your GitHub account. I've already done that, which is why you saw that authorized message pop up for a second. Then you'll come down and choose a repository, and I've got the Gatsby Netlify test. So I choose that, branch, master, and then you've got two different options here. One is the build command. So this is basically an npm command that you want to run when your site is deployed. Now the way Gatsby works is Gatsby does a build and then creates all of your static files, your actual static website, and it puts them in the public directory. So two things again to know here. You need to run a build of Gatsby every time you deploy, and then you needed to tell Netlify what your public directory is. Now this public directory could be anything, but by default, and I don't know if this is in the Gatsby config, let's see, maybe it's not. Let me search for public, because this is defined somewhere. Ignore, maybe not. So maybe just by default, Gatsby puts things in your public directory after a build, and maybe to change that, you could specify it somewhere more specifically. But regardless, after it does a build, it's going to put the things in the public directory, and you have to tell Netlify what your public directory is, the files that you want it to serve. So, show advanced, I'm not sure what's down here. Oh, you can create a netlify.toml file to do some extra configurations, but that's not what we need. Then you can add variables to your environment variables. Again, we don't need that. We're just doing a regular deploy of Gatsby here. And then I do a deploy site. Now what this is going to do, it says it's deploying here, is it's going to go out to GitHub. It's going to pull down your latest code. It's going to do a Gatsby build. And actually we can see, if I look at deploys here, and this is actually pretty cool, I can look at the logs. So let me just show you what I did. I went to deploys, I clicked on the actual deployment, and then I can see the logs. So we'll see it did a git clone, so it pulled all the latest files. It did basically an npm install to install dependencies. It got node. Actually, sorry. It got node because we need node first. Then after a couple of different things at the bottom, it says it's installing npm modules. It finished that, it looks like. And we'll just let it run out here. Now it's executing the Gatsby build. And those are some Gatsby logs, creating pages. And it says everything is ready to go. Info bootstrapped. And that's the message that you see when Gatsby finishes its build. Or actually, maybe there's a few different things here. I think we are. All right, so site is live here. That's what we want to see. So let's go back again. And now we see that our build has published, right? It's finished. And we can come, and it gives you this obviously kind of random URL, Compassionate Hamilton. And I can click on this, and there is our site. Now, one of the cool things that we can look at, if I come to my index.js, I can make a change and say, this is my test app. When I save, the local build actually restarted. So let's come back to that, refresh this, and we should see this is my test app. So that's what we want to see. Again, this is different than what's here. Hi, people. So to get our site to be updated, we can, if I look at git status, I can git add that file. I can commit and say updated h1 message. Then I can push, so git push. And if we look in Netlify at deploys, now that we've already made the initial connection, it's going to see that we just did a push, and it's going to run through that same process and do another build, and then point this site live when it's ready. So it shouldn't take very long, but I'll pause until it gets finished. And now it says published, and come back and do a refresh on the site, and you can see, did I do a refresh here? There it is. This is my test app, so you can see the changes here. So Netlify, I first used Netlify a couple weeks ago at a hackathon, hosting my one of my first React projects. And I kid you not, I was up in, let's see, literally less than 5 minutes. And that included signing up for the account, creating the website, connecting it to GitHub, and having it do its first build, and it was deployed, which was absolutely fantastic. So Netlify is super cool. Gatsby is super cool. These are a couple of the different things that I'm working with on rebuilding the learnbuildteach.com. I'll kind of throw that in there again. Site. Super cool technologies that people in the community are really excited about. I hope you guys are excited about it too. If you guys have any questions, comments, things that you didn't see that you want to see about how to deploy in Netlify, let me know in the comments. If you have any cool projects that you've hosted using Gatsby or another technology in Netlify, or any cool stories about your Netlify experience, go ahead and share below in the comments. Find me on Twitter at JamesQQuick and tell me about it. I love to see what you guys are up to. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and you can check out my newsletter on learnbuildteach.com to get updates on the latest content as it comes out. Thanks for watching.